Yujin, we're friends, and I appreciate you feeling sorry for me in my battle between theism and atheism by inviting me to your conference on alternative concepts of God. But I worry that I'm just going to be overwhelmed by all of these different words and concepts that have very arcane meanings. Can you give me some sense of the overview so I don't feel like a complete idiot?
Okay, let's start with the classical concept of God. According to this concept, God is an omniscient, omnipotent, and morally perfect creator of the universe. And most classical theists are religious theists. So they think that God exists, so that's why they're theists. And also they are religious believers as well. So they think that there are some religious reasons to endorse theism.
And they attend their communal activities in a church or synagogue or mosque or whatever.
That's right. But there are other sorts of religious believers. So for example, there are religious atheists and religious agnostics. So they think that it's important to practice religion and go to the church and so on. And they think that the religion is socially and culturally and historically important. But at the same time, they don't take religious claims ontologically seriously. So they don't think that God exists literally in the sense that we exist. And also there are non-religious atheists. They are straightforward atheists, like Bertrand Russell and Richard Dawkins and so on. So they think that religion is a waste of time. And
at best.
That's right. And religion could be harmful even. And also they don't take religious claims seriously as metaphysical or ontological claims. So they don't think that God exists. And also there are non-religious theists as well. And I'd like to think that I'm one of them. So these people think that religion could be helpful, but that they don't have any religious commitment. But at the same time, they take theism seriously. So they think that there are philosophical or scientific arguments to show that God exists.
Yeah, I would classify myself at least possibly in that camp as well. I don't feel a religious compulsion to do anything. I mean, you want to be moral and all of that, but not because of a God and not to attend any kind of rituals or liturgies or services. But I do feel an overwhelming desire to understand the deep being reality, if there is one.
Yeah, I think it's quite important to distinguish religion and theism here.
Okay, that's fair.
So if you look at the various arguments for and against the existence of God, they are not necessarily about religion. They are about God, whether there is an omniscient, omnipotent, and morally perfect being exists.
And at the same time, arguments against God that call attention to the foibles or real problems of religion shouldn't be used as evidence because one doesn't follow from the other. Religion can be terrible, but yet God could still exist, and those religions could be just man-made inventions.
Exactly. So you might want to accept theism as a metaphysical view, but at the same time, you might just want to set aside religion.
Right. Okay, so now that we have this framework, where do some of these alternative concepts of God fit in this framework of religion and theism and atheism and agnosticism?
Okay, so let's consider pantheism. Pantheism says that God is identical to the universe.
Yeah.
The universe is God. And this view is quite naturalistic. It doesn't say that God is something beyond the universe. So that's why many scientists like this view. So that this kind of view can be accepted by religious naturalists or even religious agnostics. And also there is panentheism as well. Panentheism says that the universe is not identical to God, but the universe is a proper part of God. And that view is more similar to the classical concept of God, but still someone who is predisposed to naturalism might be attracted to this kind of view.
What does it say about the human longing, and what does it say about the reality of something beyond the physical to have so many different options? And normally when you have a lot of different options, like, I don't know, with political parties in certain countries, you have 10 political parties. I mean, what you conclude is really none of them are really that right, because if they were, there wouldn't be 10 of them.
Each position faces a problem of its own. So, for example, consider the problem of evil. So the classical concept of God faces the problem of evil because it says that there is a morally perfect, all-powerful being. Then we wonder why there's evil in this world.
Sure.
So that's a problem for the classical concept. But for example, pantheism faces a different kind of problem. So according to the Big Bang Theory, the universe began to exist about 15 billion years ago. But then that means that God began to exist 15 billion years ago. That's a little bit strange. God is meant to be a supreme being, so it's a little bit strange to think that God has an age.
So each of these alternative concepts of God, be they traditional or newly invented, have their own problems.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see that, maybe, they're all just inventions. And, we should really just go to a simple naturalism and accept that there are some questions you can't answer, and that's it. I mean, end of story. I'd be disappointed, but...
That is true, but naturalism faces its own problem as well. So we need to compare arguments for and against naturalism and arguments for and against different forms of theism. And we need to see which view is most convincing.
So how important it is, do you think, for those who really want to understand the bedrock of reality, to appreciate the spectrum of ideas about God, not just one or two, but really see the totality? Is that really an important exercise? Because very few people do that.
Many people are attracted to theism, and I think there are good reasons for that. I mean, theism provides a reason for our existence, and arguably it explains why there is this world. So that's why people are attracted to theism. But again, as I said, different forms of theism face different kinds of problems. So that's why we need to address them and see which version of theism is most plausible. And then we can compare the most plausible version of theism with naturalism and see which one provides a better worldview.